Hey there everyone, today I'd like to take a casual peek into part 3 of my Thor celebration. With the premiere of the Thor movie less than a week away on May 6th of 2011, I thought it'd be neat to do several videos on the awesomeness of Thor. And if you don't know already, the Thor movie is based off of the comic book version of the Thor character. And what better way to celebrate the awesomeness of Thor than to take a peek at some of my favorite Thor comic issues from which the movie takes its inspirations from. We'll go ahead and take a peek at this first one here, and this is Thor issue number 337 that was published in the early 80s, and I actually talked about this particular issue in one of my previous videos on the Marvel Legends Beta Ray Bill figure, and I thought it'd be neat to wax poetic a little bit more in this video. And as I mentioned in that previous video, this particular issue heralded, I guess, a new era in the comic industry, because previous to this issue, the comic industry was very tightly controlled, and with I guess the symbolic shattering of this cover here, it allowed a lot more artist control with comics, and also this is also a shattering of the storyline. This is the issue which premieres Walt Simonson's run on Thor, the classic run on Thor, and just I think it was about 40 issues that he was involved in, and it's really great. And I thought it was pretty neat to go over some of the contents of this, because it's actually very nice. You can see some of the great artwork here by Walt Simonson, and you can see already very interesting introduction to the storyline. We don't even know who this guy is and what this Doom is here, and this plays out throughout the issues. It's kind of neat to play on the storytelling on there, and you can see some of Walt's artwork here. It's actually very nicely done, and I think the combination of this art and the inker that's involved in this particular run, I think it's John Workman that was involved. Yeah, John Workman Jr., who was involved with Walt and most of the issues. The combination of Walt's art and John Workman's inks, I think, provides a unique style on here. And this issue is pretty much an introduction, a reintroduction, you could say, to Thor. There's a nice splash page of Thor there. And gets started with multiple storylines in Asgard and Midgard on there, and it's very cool. And of course, a separate storyline in space here, where Thor meets Beta Ray Bill on there. So very cool. Really enjoy this issue, and this is, like I said, ushers in the Walt Simonson run on Thor, which is very cool on there. Very nice, and it's nice to look at these older issues to see the age of this comic run. This, like I said, in the early 80s, from 83. It's a great splash page there. But very good issue, Thor 337. Another issue that's one of my favorites is actually a trio of issues. Thor 341, 342, and 343. This continues the storyline, and that's one of the another things that Walt Simonson's run was known for, is the continuing storyline. There's not too many single issue or filler issues, and the storytelling just carries over from one issue to the next, and that was not too common in the early 80s or before that, so it was really, really cool. And to start off this particular storyline, you can see Fafnir the dragon here taking up most of the cover here. And this is this is actually not too tied to the following two issues, but more of an introduction. And basically Thor fighting Fafnir. And this particular issue also premieres Thor's other identity other than Donald Blake, his identity of Sigurd Jarlsson there. Very interesting art style there. And he even runs into Clark Kent there on the following page. It's kind of cool. And you can see here more of the storyline that occurs in Asgard as well as on Midgard on here. And this issue basically goes over the initial battle between Thor and Fafnir. Just really great artwork. I like it. And there's another reference to this Doom, and I'm gonna spoil it because this is a over 20-year-old story, but basically it's Surtur or Sutur or Surtur, I can never pronounce that correctly, and this is one of the major story arcs in the run of Simonson, and it's very, very cool. And just how he inserts these little tease pages here that eventually becomes a major storyline on there. And there's some more battling between Thor and Fafnir on there. There's Volstagg there, and the Enchantress here with Balder here. And another side story that just continues on. And of course, can't forget Loki there. Very introductory issue into these next two issues here, and which brings us to Thor 342. And I have to say, this is one of the best covers on a comic I've ever seen. I really love the cover on this guy. And when this issue came out, let's see, I think it's 83. I was about 14 years old at the time, and I was into comics, and I was into getting into D&D and role-playing, fantasy role-playing. And that's one of the attractions I had to Thor, was the mythological stories, and it's really just fit in well with me. And this particular issue goes into the more mythological aspects of the Thor character. And I could see here an assembly over in Valhalla, where all of the honored dead, or at least the Norse honored dead, are gathering for the final battle of Ragnarok. But in the meantime, they party hardy on there. And in this particular storyline, they're awaiting the final Viking, or to fill the seat in Valhalla. And then you got some more storyline here on Midgard, specifically Manhattan on there. And just dealing with the after effects of the battle with Fafnir, who fled the scene at the end of last issue. And here Thor hears a calling, and he goes and investigates that calling. And of course, another insert with the Doom storyline of Surtur there. And you can see Odin's ravens here. Very, very nice. I just really love the artwork on here. It's very, very, very well done on there. And here Thor reaches Antarctica and finds a pocket of a small valley, a warm valley there. And he sees all these Viking references and a cave there. And of course he has to investigate, especially with that calling. And another side story, continuing side story with Balder and the Enchantress there. Just really great artwork. I love the artwork on here. And this reading this for the first time when I was a teenager, it inspired a lot of my, I guess, story creation for my role-playing days on there. A lot of my stories were based off of these Thor comics, like here in this particular storyline. And you can see that Thor goes through several traps, tests, I guess, and then he eventually finds this armored Viking. It's really cool. On this particular page, I really love this page because you see this nice armor here. I really love this worm eye view of him hefting the spear and throwing it at Thor. I guess goading Thor into battling him. And of course Fafnir returns. And you have another side story with Laura Lee. I guess an upcoming enchantress there. And then we find out this Viking is just an old man. And he really wanted to goad Thor into slaying him. He wanted to go out as a warrior and not as an old man on there. And he got some exposition of why he got there, or how he got there. Just really great storytelling. And then, of course, Thor senses that he needs to return to New York and decides to take Elif, that's this person's name, Elif the Lost, to take him with him on there. And that concludes this particular issue here. The next issue is Thor 343, and you can see that a battle royale is about to ensue between Thor, Elif, and Fafnir the Dragon. And you can see here, you may be wondering, hey, that looks familiar, and it happens to be Valkyrie's horse on there. So the horse makes an appearance in this issue. We have Fafnir here. Very cool. Just this is really just this set of 3 issues that really stand out for me. And just storytelling, art on here, and you got more exposition here, explaining why Elif the Lost wanted Thor to slay him. He wanted to go out as a warrior, not to rest as an old man. I really love this panel here with the wind and the 2 characters in profile. It's just very, very well done there. And then he summons 2 mounts, and we see the appearance of Thor's cart with his goats, and the Valkyrie's horse here. What was the name of the horse? Cloud Rider. And more mythological references here that Walt Simonson wanted to bring into his story, which is really great. And of course they go off to ride. And this particular page here is another neat thing, I think, is because a lot of people forget that the Uru hammer has properties that I guess magic properties that channel in this particular page channels Thor's strength to imbue Elif the Lost there with I guess youth or at least a youthful feeling there. And of course they encounter an avatar of Odin there, and this particular panel here does have significance at the end of the story, and we'll get to that pretty soon. And then they arrive in New York, more of the Doom. Every issue has a reference to the Surtur here, and he's, as you can see, forging a sword there. And you got a nice splash page of Fafnir there. Very cool, and the battle ensues. And this is just really great here. And we got here Heimdall guarding the Rainbow Bridge, and he encounters one of Odin's ravens that Surtur had tried to slay. And I guess this is a sign of things to come to Asgard in the future issues. And more battles on here, and looks like Elif crashes to the ground. So it's now down to Fafnir and Thor. And one last effort here by Elif the Lost, and you can see he still has the spear that was tapped by the avatar of Odin, and a well-placed attack here that allows Thor, who's under some rubble there, to allow a fatal strike onto Fafnir. So both Thor and his shield bearer combine forces to defeat Fafnir. And in the end, though, Fafnir does not make it, though. So in pure Viking tradition, Thor assembles a funeral pyre for Fafnir here. And this one panel really got me when I first read it, and back when I was a teenager, and just looking at that image alone just shows you the strength of that guy. He's just lifting that dragon, who must weigh way over 100 tons. And it's just the immense strength of the Thor character there, just in that one panel alone. And then what follows is, of course, the summoning of lightning to ignite the funeral pyre there. And then we get this great splash page of Elif the Lost, who's no longer lost, and is being escorted as the last Viking into Valhalla, which is, of course, references in this particular issue. And that basically completes the circle of these 2 issues, or really 3, but 2 issues on there. Very neat. And of course you got Odin there in the background. Very great issue on this end. Of course an epilogue with Lorelei there. Great issue. Now taking a look at some other of my favorite comics. When I started out in comics collecting in the 80s, my collection was not as vast as it is now. Actually, when I was 13, 14, my collection consisted of the number of comics that I would typically buy in a week now. That's how many comics I had as a younger person, and basically I just reread those comics over and over again. It's a small number of comics. We couldn't afford too many luxuries when I was younger. So but these particular issues here, Special Marvel Edition number 2 and King Size Special Thor number 3, have a significance to me because these were the first back issues that I ever got of Thor. Because we didn't have the specialty shops as common as they are now, and going to one was an experience. And these 2 back issues I read over and over again. They're really thick issues, and it was my introduction to the Jack Kirby and Stan Lee, the original creators of the comic version of Thor. And as you can see here, it was also my introduction to Crusher Creel, the Absorbing Man. And these particular issues are just basically reprints from Journey into Mystery, the starting point of the Thor character in comics. And you can see some of the artwork here. It's just really great by Jack Kirby. And some people tend to rip Jack Kirby, or really don't understand the significance that Jack Kirby has to comics. And if you just really have to take a look at some of these issues. And this is late 60s, I think, mid to late 60s. This was reprinted in the early 70s. But just the composition, just the way Jack Kirby did the artwork on there is just really, really great on there. It's just it's just something that a lot of artists nowadays, I don't know, I wouldn't say take for granted, but it's just a lot of influence that Jack Kirby has passed on to many artists on there. And just some more artwork here. Here's the origin of Crusher Creel there as a prisoner. Of course, Loki spikes his drink to give him some power there. You can see some more of the Jack Kirby artwork. It's really, really great. And glad to have gotten these issues when I was younger, and really appreciate what Jack Kirby has done to the comic industry on there. Another of my favorite Thor issues is this issue here, the Mighty Thor issue number 380. And this was towards the end of Walt Simonson's involvement with Thor. By this time, Walt Simonson was actually just writing, and I think it was Sal Buscema that was doing the artwork for Thor. And in this particular issue, Walt Simonson did the artwork, the interior artwork on this as well. And 2 issues later, he departed the comic as a writer on there and artist. But this is a really great issue because it starts out as a normal comic, and then I'll show you here. And basically, you see the typical splash page of most comics, and it's okay. It looks like an interesting storyline, and we have a version of the Thor armor here. I think this is when his bones were brittle, and he needed this particular armor to keep up, you could say. And I'm hoping that Hasbro eventually makes a 6-inch version of this Thor armor. It's really, really great. And anyways, continuing with the story, it's called Mjolnir's Song. And it looks like a typical intro there. You turn the page. You got a double splash page here. So, okay, this is interesting. And it's very neat. And by the time you get to the 3rd page, let me just turn the page here, you start to suspect that something is up, something's going on with this just particular issue, because on the 3rd page you have another splash page on there, and you really start to wonder, oh, this is something, this is more than just a typical comic here. And as you go through each of the pages, and you'll find out that each page is a splash page. And this is just a really special issue because you just take a look at the artwork that Walt Simonson has gone into there. It's just really great. And inserted in these splash pages are references to song and story. Here you can see down there. In combination of what's going on, and Thor here is battling the Midgard serpent, Dormangur. I can't pronounce that name correctly, but that's a great splash page there. The hammer there being thrown, and just a very cool issue. And you can see a great picture of Thor there, and just especially reading the captions in there. It's very, very nice. A great story, not too much dialogue, but with the dialogue and the captions and the artwork, it's just something really special. And I don't see many folks talking about this particular issue. I think it's a great issue. You see the Midgard serpent just biting down on Thor and then having his teeth knocked out. So that's the awesomeness of Thor there. You got some Thor armor. And if you don't know the story of Thor and his fate in mythological story, his final battle is with the Midgard serpent. And this is basically, I guess, a retelling of that, maybe. At least Walt Simonson's maybe version of that. And it's just great artwork. I love this issue. And then you have here Thor coming in for the strike there. And just taking on the Midgard serpent there. And then you can see what's left. The Midgard serpent there. And of course you can see Thor there falling to the earth. And just big old crash. And we have nothing but the armor that's left. So, and as I mentioned, a couple issues later, Walt Simonson departed the Thor comic on there. So this is one of the special issues for me. And finally, I have this one here, and this is Thor number 323. And this is my favorite Thor comic, if not my favorite comic in my entire collection, because this particular issue is what got me into comics seriously. Before this issue, I had a few comics here and there. I really didn't think too much of them, but this particular issue, the summer of 1982, was also the first comic I ever paid by myself. Meager 60 cents at the time, which was a lot to me at the time. And I had purchased with my own money, and got me into the comic reading and collecting hobby. And of all issues, this is a filler issue. Yeah, that was drawn by guest penciler Greg LaRocque. He used to do Flash, I think, in the 90s. And they had some guest scripters, inkers, letterers, just basically a fill-in issue. And this was the one that got me started. And it's a story that's set in Asgard, during Thor and Loki and Warriors 3 Younger Days. And encounters a dark stranger. That's the subtitle of this particular issue, Comes a Dark Stranger. And you find out this is similar to, I would say, Sir Gawain from the Arthurian legends. I would venture to guess. And we eventually find out that this dark stranger is an aspect of fear, and his companion here is an aspect of desire on there. And they basically goad him into combat or tempt him in there, and in the end Thor prevails, not through combat but through love on there, so, which is really great. I really love this panel here, this sequence here where Thor is pretty much beaten, but you can see panel by panel he's slowly crawling toward the dark stranger there. But in the end, Thor prevails, and the Dark Stranger sends him back to Asgard, at least the city of Asgard, with a gift for Odin there. It's really cool because on the last page here, Odin tells Thor that he encountered the aspects of fear and desire, but what he does with the gift that the Dark Stranger gives Odin, he just tosses it aside and destroys the gift, which was a nice horse there. So, but a really great issue, and really what got me into the collecting hobby of comics, and my fascination with the Thor character. But I hope you weren't bored to tears, but this is my casual peek into my favorite Thor comic issues. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time.